Joseph Nia Adekoka is the chairman for NDC Greater Accra. He's here with me in the studio. Thanks for joining me, sir.
Thank you.
The president is in the UK.
Yes.
And he's been talking a lot about all the things he's doing to reduce corruption in our country. Doesn't seem like the critics really are buying his idea into his efforts to reduce corruption, is it?
Let me say good morning to yourself
and
your viewers. Sir. I mean, the president spoke as it is. He outlined the measures that he has put in place to ensure that corruption at least is minimized. But he rightly said that it is the curing of corruption depends on all of us. The willing. If the whole nation, everybody is willing to ensure that corruption is a thing of the past, then it behoves on all of us. He alone cannot find, because down there, you go to a place like the passport office, you have a problem there. You go to most of the state institutions, you have a problem there. So if all of us are willing not to give some and ensure that things are done per the rules and regulations, then that is what it's trying to talk about. You know, so it's for all of us willing to ensure that. I was listening to Norway, the Norwegian Prime Minister, and that's what they did. In Norway, they all agreed that they're going to ensure that there's openness. You know, so if, for instance, somebody realized that, Roland, I knew Roland a few years ago. All of a sudden, Roland has become so rich, and looking at his income, he must.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. You are reported, and immediately investigation takes place, and the society they've accepted
that's the way to go.
That's the way to go. You understand? So they rank 5th on the world out of 100 and something countries. They are 5th.
As the least corrupt.
Least corrupt, you know. So this is a government will put the relevant laws in place. But we, the practitioners, we are the people who have to ensure that the right thing is done. So I agree with him perfectly what he said. And like he said, he does not wait for the evidence we brought to him, right? But the moment he gets hint of something going wrong, he quickly ensures that investigations take place. And you could attest from the National Service, for instance. He instigated investigation in that place.
Well, so at the end of the day, is the issue of the contention as to what is the perception local and how perhaps maybe he's hailed internationally, yes. Because I guess internationally he seems to be getting the accolades, yes. Right. But
you know, internationally,
I'd rather say, I mean, if your own people don't seem to have that kind of buy-in and the feeling, then it's as if the work you're doing is up to naught.
No, you see, because now we are allowed to, most of us discuss corruption, right? So everybody comes in with his or her version of what he perceives to be corruption in the system, right? So it depends on where you are coming from. The opposition will keep hammering that because they think when they do that, it will not to their benefit. And the president is telling you, this is what I'm doing. And there's evidence. Gone were the days where a government will come and tell you that, as for them, when they set up, when they investigate corruption publicly, it might bring their government down. So they have to put up an accountability committee in the council to ensure that things are covered up. Right? In our case, the president, when something of that sort comes to his notice, immediately asks the various institutions to look into it.
But what about the criticism that for all the things that the John Mahama-led administration is doing or has been doing, as far as corruption is, it's just a cover-up sort of, just a kind of just blinding the eye of the public to many of the things in terms of the real actions that need to be taken.
You see, we made this assertion without providing the evidence. Look, have you ever caught a minister or government appointee dipping his hands into the coffers?
Well, not necessarily, but there's just a report of the Smarties deal, for example.
Well, it was dealt with. The government,
through the courtesy of Occupying Ghana.
The government dealt the situation, right?
Well, government did, but the procurement procedures, for example, were not right. The contract, for example, was signed even before the minister attempted to get to put the system right or the processes right?
You see, my beef on this is that the state had recovered the money that was said to was not supposed to have been paid. I think that alone is a cap, is a feather in the cap of the government of the day. Somebody will have come out defending and trying to cover up and ensure that nothing comes out of it. Well, if the procurement law has been breached, then the relevant steps must be. That's what the president said. When you give me the evidence, right, I will prosecute. I will ensure. But if there's evidence that the procurement law, but sometimes see what you can do is that if even you have made a mistake, once you go back to right the mistake, I think we let sleeping dogs lie. Here we have recovered the money. The important thing is that the excess that was supposed to have been put on the contract had been recovered, retrieved. So what are we talking about?
Such summits,
yes,
in which we have key African leaders, and because for some key African leaders to be sent, it means that they remain critical in making sure that they become the pivot around which other leaders will rally themselves around on the continent to be able to deal with the subject of corruption. Such summits, when, let's say, our president, we've had General Buhari of Nigeria, etc., all attending, what does it connote back home to you, the political elite, the other stakeholders like the media and the various civil society groups involved in anti-corruption, that really there's some level of commitment from the West and from our side?
Exactly. It shows them from afar. You see, before they invite you to this kind of conferences, right, then they perceive the country to be a very serious country. And the people in charge doing serious business. They won't just pick up, just wake up and call you. So I believe that it shows that Ghana, in the eyes of the world, right, we are very important. And we've got a president who is also ensuring that the right things are done. The democracy, rule of law is working in this country. So we must applaud ourselves. We must really, really applaud ourselves. When I saw the pictures and the people who had attended the conference, right, the IMF Managing Director, Norwegian Prime Minister, I mean the Commonwealth Secretary, General Secretary, you know, and I felt proud to be a Ghanaian, right? To be in the midst of people who perceive Ghana as one of the beacon of democracy and rule of law in this part of the world. We must be proud of ourselves, right? That we have come a long way. We have come a long way. Gone were the days that the conferences are held and we are not even invited, right? We've come a long way. And so we should all come together and ensure that instead of the media trying to find holes in what the president said, rather to applaud him for subjecting himself to this kind of this degree of what do you call it, scrutiny.
Well, it taking place in the United Kingdom, there were even some Ghanaians in the diaspora and even in that very country who were even picketing, just in protest with perhaps some of the inactions of the president on things that he could have done better in dealing with the subject of corruption.
Well, you see, anytime the president goes to the UK, we have Ghanaians, so-called Ghanaians, there picketing.
Well, they're Ghanaians. We
know where they are coming from.
I don't get your. I don't get your point.
They are from the opposition. MPP is their a way of wanting to be heard. Look, and we come here. Ghana is at peace with itself. I mean, we all live here. They live far away in the UK, and they want to dictate to us what we are doing here. This country is moving on. This country is doing what we have to do for the next 20, 30 years. That is the vision of the president, that 20 years time, 30 years time, where will Ghana be? And look, if you take Kwame Nkrumah, when he had independence, the level of development. If you take the Busia regime, the level of development. If you take a Champon regime, the level of development. If you take Kufuor's regime, the level of development. If you take President Rawlings, 1982, and look at that period of development, and look at the development now that President Mahama, within the last 4 years, has achieved for this country, it's tremendous. Because by
what benchmark are you trying to give all these indications?
Let me enter Kotoka International Airport.
Well, I was there 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
What's about there?
Just
There's
enter. Just enter.
An expansion of the airport.
Exactly. Just enter Kotoka International, and you see what at least the first impression of any country, the first is the airport. How your airport gives an impression whether you're a serious country or not. Then just come out of Kotoka Airport and look on your right side. Look at all the buildings that are coming up.
Because we have chateaus or huge residential complexes,
office and that kind.
So it means that the economy is
an indication of your economy on the right track. Because 10 years ago, that place was fallow. You just entered it's fallow. Now you enter, and sometimes when a plane is landing, and you look and say, hey, is this Ghana? Is this Accra? You are making progress.
Well, somebody would say you are just doing a mere praise singing and just unduly propagating what perhaps
you see, if you travel to Dubai and you see Dubai, if you are Dubai 15, 20 years ago, it was like a desert. Now everybody is going to Dubai. We are hoping that 10 years fast forward, people will be trooping to Ghana because we've got the infrastructure that will enable people to come to this country. And that is development. That will enable jobs to be created. People who are now, we are clamoring for jobs. Look at the number of people who have gone to have gone to apply to go to the police, 17,000. It shows you that we must be doing something that will expand the economy, and this kind of things expands the economy.
It also shows you that it's something that means that your government has not done enough.
You have to expand the economy.
Because just the last few days, there's been a World Bank report. I don't know whether you've been able to go through the World Bank report, which indicates that among the working group who are young people, 48% of them don't have jobs.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is why we
it's a World Bank report.
That is why we must
expand. That's quite damning on the actions that your government needs to take that is not taking.
You see, I told you that if you go back to Kwame Nkrumah time, they were expanding the economy so that we're having factories, things that will enable us to create jobs. What happened to that? It was truncated. And since that time, all our factories that will have to produce workers, we have to engage workers, have all been. Now, we have been able to revamp the sugar factory at Commander Sugar Factory. Various factories that are essential to our development must be rejuvenated to ensure that jobs are created. But if you are always going to be in the buy and sell market, that is, we buy and sell, we will not create jobs. That's the crux of the matter. So the economy might expand so that the 48% that you are saying that are not employed will be employed. That is what we should be doing. You understand? That is what we should be doing. So if you have a government who is taking the bold step to ensure that the enabling environment is created, ensuring that the economy expands, that is the only way we can be able to help our youth, and also they also must go into areas that will also enable their benefit, that they can use their intellect and they think out of the box.
Because that's the way to go. Exactly. That's the new world order.
That's the new world order.
Not to go and learn humanities.
Exactly.
I get your point. I get your point, but that's just a dick. But